If you thought there was only one Marine One, you'd be very wrong. Just as there are multiple Air Force One planes, there are multiple Marine One helicopters. Marine One helicopters are absolutely indispensable. If the president is sick, Marine One can fly the commander-in-chief to the hospital. And the iconic helicopters are used to transport the president from the White House to Camp David for summits and meetings. If the president needs to evacuate the White House at the last minute, Marine One is there. Marine One is actually the call sign of any U.S. Marine Corps aircraft that transports the president. These aircraft are usually helicopters, and the choppers are often referred to as white tops because of their distinctive paint jobs. Because the safety of the president is of the utmost importance, only the most skilled Marines are tasked with transporting the commander-in-chief. Marines that pilot Marine One are referred to as Nighthawks. How cool is that? Nighthawks are part of an elite group called Marine Helicopter Squadron 1, and every Marine One helicopter requires a pilot, co-pilot, and crew chief. Marine Helicopter Squadron 1, or HMX-1, is based out of Quantico, Virginia, and the unit is also responsible for transporting the Vice President. Any aircraft carrying the VP is referred to as, you guessed it, Marine 2. The President even uses Marine 1 as transport when overseas. In case you were wondering, Marine 1 helicopters are transported overseas via military cargo planes, usually a Boeing C-17 Globemaster. There's always a Marine on the ground to greet the President before takeoff. The Marine on the ground salutes the President, and the President typically salutes back, but it's not a requirement. Before the Reagan administration, presidents did not salute troops at all. President Ronald Reagan just made it up on a whim, but the tradition has continued. Even though there is no official presidential salute, most presidents show respect to the Guard before boarding Marine One. Former President Barack Obama once forgot to salute and quickly got off Marine One to shake the Marine Guard's hand. Not just any helicopter is suitable for the Marine One fleet. Today's fleet consists of two particular models, the Sikorsky VH-3D Sea King and the more compact Sikorsky VH-60N Whitehawk. Both helicopters have been used for decades, but things are about to change. All 23 Marine One helicopters will be state-of-the-art Sikorsky VH-92As by 2023. Sikorsky will deliver the first 6 VH-92As in 2021 as part of a $542 million initial contract. The entire VH-92A program will cost the US government about $4.9 billion. This hefty fee includes both development and procurement of the new helicopters. VH-92A choppers have already been spotted landing on the White House lawn, but so far, no president has flown in one. Helicopters have been used by presidents for a very long time. President Dwight D. Eisenhower was the first commander-in-chief to be transported via helicopter when he took flight in a Bell UH-13J Sioux on July 12, 1957. Eisenhower regularly used the helicopter to fly to the presidential retreat at Camp David and to his farm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The tiny Bell UH-13J Sioux was not a Marine One helicopter, as it was not operated by the Marine Corps. Only the Air Force operated smaller helicopters, so when the Bell was phased out and larger helicopters entered rotation, the Army and Marine Corps assumed responsibility. If the president was transported by the Army, the call sign was Army 1, but eventually the Marine Corps took over completely. Since 1976, only the Marine Corps has transported the president via helicopter. The current Marine One helicopter models have been in service for many years. The VH-3D Sea King was first introduced during the Carter administration, and the VH-60N was first used in 1988 when Reagan was president. Marine One helicopters are packed with high-end tech and state-of-the-art defense systems. Every Marine One helicopter is bulletproof thanks to advanced ballistic armor. The president can work on board safely, knowing the aircraft is impenetrable to bullets and bombs. Ultra-modern missile warning systems and anti-missile defenses protect the president while on board. Marine One helicopters are equipped with flares to counter heat-seeking missiles and chaff to counter radar-guided missiles. Both the VH-3D Sea King and the VH-60N Whitehawk use AN/ALQ-144A infrared countermeasure devices. These devices were first installed on Marine One helicopters in the 1980s when heat-seeking anti-aircraft missiles became widespread. The Sea King actually has two infrared countermeasure devices on its underside near the landing gear. The VH-60N Whitehawk has infrared countermeasure devices on its underside and on the roof. Helicopters are extremely noisy, but Marine One choppers have so much interior soundproofing that the president can conduct meetings without being disturbed. There's no need for shouting, the president can speak at a normal volume, and everyone sitting nearby will be able to hear just fine. Just like Air Force One, Marine One travels with a decoy at all times. Sometimes, as many as 5 decoys fly in formation alongside Marine One. Presidential copters are fast and nimble. The VH-3D Sea King can reach a top speed of 150 miles per hour and can remain in the air even if one of its 3 engines fails. It is essential that the president be able to communicate with experts on the ground at all times. That's why every Marine One helicopter has secure communication lines to the White House and Pentagon. The interior of the VH-3D Sea King is actually quite spacious. It has a 200 square foot cabin and can carry up to 14 passengers. Inside the Sea King, you will find standard gray upholstery and blue curtains. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. It's likely that the VH-92A will feature a more plush interior. The VH-3D Sea King is impressive, but the VH-92A is even more stellar. It's no wonder why the aging Marine One helicopters are being upgraded. The new Marine One helicopters will be much faster than the current models. The VH-92A is a modified version of the Sikorsky S-92, which can reach a top speed of 190 miles per hour. It's also much roomier on the inside. The VH-92A's cabin is 20 feet long and 7 feet high. 19 passengers can fit inside comfortably with plenty of legroom to spare. VH-92As are powerful machines. Each helicopter uses two General Electric CT7 8A engines that are capable of putting out 2,520 shaft horsepower. Each Marine One VH-92A helicopter costs about $237 million, but that's actually a great deal. Before Sikorsky secured the current Marine One contract, the US government was supposed to use Lockheed Martin VH-71 Kestrels as Marine One helicopters. The proposed VH-71s were expected to cost $400 million each, but Obama terminated Lockheed Martin's contract in 2009 after costs spiraled out of control to $13 billion. $13 billion for 28 helicopters is way too expensive even for the wealthiest nation on Earth. Air Force One, which is a Boeing VC-25A, is worth about $325 million, while the presidential limo is worth approximately $1.5 million. So, $237 million for a Marine One helicopter seems perfectly reasonable. $400 million, on the other hand, is absurd. The US had already taken delivery of 9 VH-71s, but they were scrapped and sold to Canada for $164 million. The Canucks got a great deal, and the spare parts were used to repair search and rescue helicopters in the Royal Canadian Air Force. After the Lockheed Martin contract was terminated, Sikorsky was awarded a contract worth $1.24 billion to start building VH-92As. Lockheed Martin may have lost out on the Marine One contract, but in 2015 the conglomerate ended up purchasing Sikorsky outright and is now its parent company. You just can't stop capitalism. Sikorsky is making big bucks from the US government, and the company might be getting even richer in the near future. The US is considering the purchase of 5 more Sikorsky S-92 helicopters that will likely be used as green tops. Unlike white tops, green tops don't transport the president. They are instead used to transport White House staff and the media. Green tops can also be used for training duties and for less critical logistics missions. These S-92s, which the Marine Corps would refer to as CH-92s, would also be modified and used by Marine Helicopter Squadron 1. However, they won't feature all the bells and whistles of the VH-92As. The CH-92s could be a real time saver, as aircraft crew chiefs and maintenance personnel could start training on these helicopters while awaiting security clearance, which can take as long as a year to complete.